Hey guys, it's your English teacher Mohammed, and in this lesson or in this video, I actually want to talk about how to speak fluently, like a lot of non-native speakers do that we know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, hadarshemesh on YouTube, and others as well. So we're actually going to watch a short clip from each of them, and then I'm going to explain actually how these people reached the levels of fluency that they did. Yeah, and then what lessons you can take away from this to improve your own speaking fluency. So the first one I want to actually have a look at is Arnold. He is one of my favorite actors, most favorite actors, and I just want you guys to actually listen to his speech and to show you that yeah, he is actually quite a fluent speaker, right? So
I can't think of another actor who has got so many catchphrases. All your movies seem to come with a catchphrase. And in the book, it's really interesting. You explain how one of the most famous, the I'll be back, nearly didn't happen.
Well, I somehow had a problem when I tried to say I'll be back.
Right.
The I'll sounded weird to me. So I said to the director, I said, I think that I would say I will be back.
Right.
And he says, no, I think that I wrote I'll be back. I said, but I mean, listen to it. I said, it's kind of like the Terminator doesn't talk like that. The Terminator would say, I will be back.
Right.
And he says, look, let's make it simple. I said, I don't tell you how to act, but don't you tell me how to write. I wrote I'll, and that's what you say. You say, I'll be back. And I'm so happy that he insisted on the I'll be back. Because when the movie came out, you never know when you do the scene that is going to be a famous line or that it will be repeated over and over. So I remember when the movie came out, someone stopped me in New York.
yeah, so that was that one, right? And I mean, you can see there he's so comfortable in English. He's so fluent, and it's interesting how even he had this problem with this contraction. Yeah, because in his sort of maybe German mind or Austrian mind, it sounded slightly strange. That this is another YouTube channel that a YouTuber that I want to talk about, Filmento. He doesn't show his face, but I just and he's not a native speaker, but he seems to have the perfect, not perfect, but an excellent like native like rhythm and speech and stuff. Yeah.
Blue Beetle is a new superhero movie that concludes the current iteration of the DCEU, or begins the next one, or I don't know, whatever. In it, there's this average guy, Jaime, who gets a burger box that sadly contains no burger, but instead an alien scarab. A scarab that jumps up his ass and turns him into a superhero. And then an evil weapons company CEO shows up to steal the scarab for her weapons technology, and then Jaime fights a minuscule...
Okay, so we can see here he's probably reading a script, right? But still, the script that he's reading very well written and stuff. And then I want to also talk about Hadar. Hadar is an Israeli woman who teaches English on YouTube, and just I want you to hear her speaking. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to increase their vocabulary? Growing your vocabulary allows you to get stuck less, to feel more confident and more fluent when speaking in English. You're not looking for the right word, or you're not even using basic words. You're using more colorful.
Would you be surprised to know she's not a native speaker? Yeah. I didn't realize she wasn't a native speaker until she herself said she isn't a native speaker. So that was for me like quite shocking because yeah, because obviously she's reached a very high level. So I actually want to, because I know how each of these people reached the levels that they did. With Arnold, I think we all know that he went to America, he became an actor, and he even became the governor of California at one point. So he spent essentially 4 decades of his life in America. So he's using English, breathing in English. He, married an American woman at one point, so he was living, breathing the language and acting in the language. But notice how even he had his fair share of difficulties when he was learning, and how, I'll be back became so like iconic. And then we have Filmento. So he's someone from an ex-Soviet Union country or somewhere in East Europe. And I mean, I've listened to this guy. I've listened to dozens of videos of him, and like his English is basically native, right? I've never heard a mistake that he's made, and probably because he's able to write the script and review it beforehand. But even like he gets the internet slang, idioms correct. The only thing is, of course, he has a little bit of an accent, but even his accent is just, it's just lovely to listen to. He has that deep bass. And then Hadar, oh, she's an interesting case. She actually went to America, New York, to become an actress, and so she did a lot of pronunciation and accent training, right? But she's actually originally from Israel, and that's where she currently resides. But she's teaching English on YouTube, and she has a course and stuff. And she does a lot of videos about pronunciation. But like, wow, you don't have to have a perfect accent to have perfect English. Yeah, as long as you flow well, you're very comfortable with the language, you're using natural expressions, your natural rhythm, then that's really what matters most. And how did they achieve it? I guess with Filmento, he's just watched hundreds, like every video on his channel is about a movie. He had to have watched the movie. He has at least 200 or 300 videos on his thing. So that's 200 times 200 movies. Each movie is 2 hours. That's 400 hours of English. And he might have watched these movies multiple times. So we're talking thousands of hours of listening, right? And of course, with Hadar, one of the advices she has for improving your pronunciation and language in general is a lot of listening. So, what can we take from these three examples who have, in my opinion, all have reached a very, very high level in the language, maybe native-like or near-native-like level of the language? And what we can take from all of this is that, firstly, it takes years, right? Well, I think all of them, it must have taken uh, at least 2 decades to get to that level. 2 decades, 20 years. Then they spend a tremendous amount of time actually listening and reading the language, right? And then living with the language. And then obviously they spent a lot of time practicing as well. Hadar advocates actually practicing the language. Of course, Arnold would have had to practice his scripts many times. And then, of course, Filmento, he has to read out his scripts as well. So he would have gotten all of the practice as well. What can I say about, well, there's a key point or a key message I want to say in this part of the video, which is like, do not treat language like a game. It's not like going to the gym, pumping out some iron, making your muscles bigger. It can work that way, but more importantly, language is for our survival. It's the way that we gather knowledge about the world and the way that we communicate. So you have to treat it like a survival skill rather than a game, right? Arnold needed to improve his English because he wanted to be an actor and wanted to be the governor of California. Hadar wanted to be an actress in New York. Filmento obviously wants to talk about movies on YouTube. They have to be good at English. They have to improve their English because it's their livelihood, is part of their life. Yeah. It's not a game. It's not something that they do 5 minutes a day, or even 1 hour a day. It's something that they do very regularly because it's a part of their lives. If something is important, and that means you come across it very frequently, then you should actually give it more time, right? And I also want to leave this with a final example. Actually, is another YouTuber, but this time he is an Italian, and I would consider him like not like near native, but I would say like a high B2, right? So, right.
In the past 3 years, I learned 167 skills. Sorry. And I've been doing it to prove an idea. No matter how hard something is, as long as you don't stop trying, you can do anything you want. But someone still thinks I'm not actually learning this stuff. And you know what? They're probably right. Psych. I'm gonna prove that I can still do all the skills I learned, and I'm gonna do it way faster and way better. Skill number 1, the Shaolin needle through glass shell.
I will be honest, like his English speaking is way better in his later videos than they are in his, earlier videos. But nevertheless, he's someone who actually moved to Canada, and he's making all of his videos in English. So hence his videos are well produced and stuff like that, and his English is an improvement. But I wouldn't call it near native, but he's a very, very, very comfortable B2, maybe C1 at this point, but I would say he's probably a B2. Not because he has a strong Italian accent, although that does factor into my sort of evaluations, but he does make little mistakes and things here and there. He gets his prepositions wrong. He uses more like Italian expressions rather than English. That's how I know he's more B2 than C1. But still, even he is using the language. It's part of his life, part of his livelihood, and therefore he's able to make amazing content even at the B2 level. And so what this shows you is make it a part of your life. Yeah. That's how you're going to improve your speaking to fluency. All right. So if you found this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.